Welcome back to this channel, guys. I'm so happy to see you today, and we are going to talk about a topic that I'm not sure a lot of people talk about actually, but I think it's very important for anyone who's going to start a new job, or if you're already in a job and you just started, this video can be very helpful to you. So today I'm going to give you some advices of what are the things to do when you start a new job, but also give you like 5 things that are no-nos when you're starting a new job. So let's dig in. When you start a new job, it can be very overwhelming, to be honest, because it's a new environment. You're meeting new people. It might be a new project, new clients, new everything. So you have to adapt to like basically this new environment and this new routine. And to be completely honest, it can be very tempting to give your all, to make an impact since the beginning. And sometimes it can be good, sometimes it cannot be, it can be bad. So when you're starting a new job, it can be very tempting to prove yourself to your line manager, to prove yourself to your colleague. And in most cases, it's because, well, you have a probation, you have a notice period of 3 months most of the time. Sometimes it's even 6 months as much as you grow. And you need to prove yourself immediately. You need to make an impact in the company. You need to show that, yes, you hired me for XY reason, I'm here to deliver. But even if it's the case, even if you're starting a new job, I think it's very important to understand that, well, there are still a few things that you need to do. I'm going to give you 6 tips around the key behaviors that you need to have when you're starting a new job. And this might be like either you're a newbie in the work environment, or you can be like a fully experienced person. But I think it's very important to go through like what are the 6 things that you need to do. So let's dig in. So tip number 1 is to dive into the company culture and the values. So this is mostly for the company that you're working for, but also like potentially the client you're going to work for. So when we're talking about culture and values, you need to understand like what the ethos of the company is, what they stand for. Is the company that is going towards like sustainability, for example, or do they value their employees? What are the mission, what are the values, mission for like the next couple of years, for example. You need to really immerse yourself into who they are, and that's something that is very important. Most of the time we join company and we really don't know what they stand for, and then when we reach there we're like, oh, okay, where am I? But even you need to have like this sense of belonging, and for you to have this sense of belonging, well, you need to know someone, right? I mean, it's the same as a relationship. If you want to be with someone, you will try to learn about that person. It's exactly the same when you're joining a job. You need to understand, well, you need to learn more about the company. You need to try to learn more about them, what they stand for, who they are, and basically how they got all the way to what they are today. So tip number 2 aligns as well with tip number 1, which is basically you need to learn about the services or the products or the clients that you're going to work on. It's kind of linked to the culture as well, but here you're going to dive into the core of what they are doing. Are they selling products? Are they selling services? What type of products they are selling? To whom they are selling for? What's the price? Why is it that way? How are they analyzing like the consumers, for example? So you really need to understand the products. And that's the part where I feel that a lot of us, when we're starting a new job, well, we don't really ask questions. We might ask questions about like, oh, what is this product about, or what is this services about, but we don't dive into the core of it to try to understand where it all started. Why is it priced this way? Who are the competitors? So it is very important to immerse yourself into like what are the products, what are the services, who is the client that you're going to work for. Tip number 3, it's very basic, but introduce yourself to your colleagues, introduce yourself to your clients. And it might be like direct colleagues, also like indirect people you're going to work with. So for example, one thing I love to do is, yes, I do introduce myself to the people I'm going to work directly with, but being a very curious person, I always like to go to the people that, well, I might not be meeting immediately, but at some point I might meet. So the reason why you're doing that is because you want to know like the people you're going to work with, but also like the people you will have to go to. If, for example, you have a question about a specific topic that might not be linked directly to your job role for now, but for example, if you're working in a marketing team, yes, you're going to talk to your colleagues who are within the same department as you. You might be talking to the analytics team, for instance, or the creative team. However, you can go and talk as well to the accounting, because at some point you will need the help. So you need to know who are the people that, well, you need to go to if you have like a finance question, or you need to onboarding a client on the finance platform, for instance, or you need an information about an invoice at some point. So always try to talk about people that are not directly linked to your team or to your job role. Well, finance in a way it is linked to your job role, but you know what I mean, like you shouldn't talk only to the people within like your department. You need to expand your horizon. You need to talk to everyone, because at some point you might need them. Or I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why you're going to work as well is to meet people, right? Is to socialize, and it's always good. That's, per my experience, it's always great to talk to people and to understand what they are doing, how is it going in their department, or how is it linked as well to your role. So always try to go and talk to as many people as possible. So tip number 4 is something that I practice specifically when I join a new company. I would say like in the first few months, I like to observe how people are behaving, are working, are interacting with each other. So I'm learning through observing, and I think it's very important to observe. Sometimes we go into a job, we just dive into it, and we're not trying to understand how are things happening. And it is very important. I mean, you can learn so many things. Trust me, you can learn so many things about someone, about a client, about a meeting, or you can, and trust me, you can learn so many things just by observing and trust me, you can learn so many things about the way your team behave, your client behaves, whatever they are saying. Like, always listen, observe. Try to take as much information as possible in when you're starting a new job. I usually do that quite often, and basically it helps me. It helps me to understand, like, okay, this person works in a particular way. That person is not much of a talker. You need to go to that person more. So by observing people, by observing behaviors, you're able like to adapt your behavior to them as well, and adapt your way of working, which is very important. So that's a key tip. Don't forget, be an observer. Tip number 5 is, well, it can be very daunting to, when you're starting a new job, to go and ask for help, but it is very important to ask for help. Mostly when you're starting. I mean, I always thought until recently, basically, that when you join a new company, when you join a new project, well, you're going to pick up things like very fast. It can take months. It can take months for you to understand the ways of working, who's the client, what are the products, how it works. And if you're in advertising, like, what are the things that have worked before. So it can take quite a lot of time, and which is why it is very important. Like, if you have questions, go and ask for help. Go and ask for it. I mean, your colleagues, your clients, they are here for that. They are here to help you. And the more you ask questions and you ask for help, the better you will be able to help them as well. So it's like a two-way communication. It's a win-win situation where they will give you the information that you need so that you can provide like a better job. So don't be scared. Don't be scared of asking for help. And tip number 6 is to ask for feedback and to know your role and responsibilities. Yes, you had like your job description before you joined your new job. However, it is still important for you to define what is your role. what are the things that you need to do, and most importantly, things that you shouldn't do. Most of the time we always ask like, oh, what do I need to do? But I think it's very important as well to know where your boundaries are, like things that you shouldn't be doing within your remit. So it is for you important to go and ask for that, but also like ask for feedback. When you're starting a job, you won't know everything at first. No one does. So for you to be able to improve within like your probation, but also beyond that, you need to be able to ask for feedback, like and push for it. In most cases, people will be like, oh yeah, no, everything is going well, great. But try to ask about like, okay, where can I improve myself? Is there something specific that you want me to do? Are there any priorities that I need to focus on in the first 3 months of me working with you? But I think it's very important for you to ask for the feedback, and for you to ask for feedbacks, you need to be able to understand like where you stand in terms of your role. What are the things that are expected from you? Because at the end of the day, like a job description, yes, it's great, but most of the time you will see that what you will be doing will not be matching that job description. There might be a difference, to be honest, and that's what I've seen so much. And that's what I've seen so many times. So it's very important for you to define clearly what should I do, and ask for feedback about that, because it's the only way for you to improve going forward. So now that we have seen like the things that you should be doing, we're going to dive into the things that you shouldn't do, because so many times, and most probably I've been also. So now that we have seen the things that you should do, we are also going to talk about 5 things that you shouldn't do when you're starting a new job. And so many times I've seen these things happen. I'm guilty as well, and so many times I've seen these things happen, and hands up, I've been guilty of these things as well. And now we're going to talk about the 5 things you shouldn't do when you're starting a new job. So the first thing that you shouldn't do is to actually show off when you're starting a new job. No one loves a show off, right? And first impressions count. So you want people, when you're joining a job, you want people to like you. You want people to see you as someone that is trustworthy as well, and someone that is here to help and support, and who is a team player. But by showing off, it can play against you, because trust me, really, and I'm going to say it all over again, no one loves a show off. No one. At the end of the day, you just started. You really just started. And I've seen so many times people starting a role, and in the first meeting, on the first day, they're trying to show off in front of a team that maybe has been there for months or years. No, you're here to learn. You're here to learn. Mostly at the beginning, you're here to learn. Yes, it's true, you need to make an impact, but there are so many other ways to make an impact. But you can't make an impact on your first day. You can, but you want to make it in the right way. You don't want to make an impact in a negative way, and by showing off, this will play against you. So just be careful about that. Still in the same line of trying to make an impact. The second thing that you shouldn't be doing when you're starting a new job, and it's in line with the fact that most people want to make an impact in front of their line manager, is don't bite more than you can chew. You shouldn't. Don't take over 10,000 things. Don't try to push for, oh, I need to do so many things so that people can see that I'm great at what I'm doing. You don't need to do that. You don't need to. By focusing on small tasks, not small tasks, but like on a limited amount of tasks, you will be able to make much more of an impact. By taking on so many things, well, you will shoot yourself in the feet. No. By taking on so many things, it plays against you again, because you might not be able to focus correctly, and you might not be able to produce like a proper, impeccable work, because it's so many. So yes, it's really tempting, and trust me, it's mostly for people who are new in the career, who are starting their first job. Don't do that. Don't bite more than you can chew. It's going to play against you. Focus on limited tasks, but do it well. Quality is better than quantity. It's basic, but it's true. Like, quality is the most important thing. So you want your work to be of quality, because no one ever is going to say that, oh, that person worked across like 10,000 tasks, but they were not that great. No, when you do, you can do 3 things, but these 3 things are so amazing that people will be like, wow, that's great work. So really, don't try to take on too many tasks. Don't. And in line with that, it's linked also to the 3rd thing that you shouldn't do. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't be too harsh on yourself if you're not able like to take on like projects immediately, or you're not able like to understand how the company works, what's a client about, or how things work. I mean, I've been there. I've always thought, when like a few years back, that when I start a new job, I need to know exactly what I need to do. I need to know exactly what this client is about. I need to know exactly how to do that particular task. It's not true. And then when I couldn't do it, well, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and I was feeling angry with myself. I was not able like to do my work properly, so being frustrated, it was reflecting as well on my personal life, whatever. But what is important is like, don't be too harsh on yourself. Things will take time, and it is okay that it takes time. You need a period to actually understand what your job is about. You need a period to be able like to learn more about your role, about your client, about the company. In a way, you need an onboarding period. Sometimes it can take weeks, or it can take months, but it's okay. You're there to learn. No one knows everything. The great thing of life is that you're always going to learn new things. So don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay. It's okay. You just need to go into a new job thinking that, you know what, I'm grateful to be here. I'm going to give my all. However, I understand that it can take time for me to do my role properly and to be fully immersed in the company and in my job. And the number 4 thing that you shouldn't do is also linked like to all of this, because it's basically, don't burn yourself out, and it's linked to the point that we made about like, don't bite more than you can chew. Because sometimes we will take so many tasks at first that you're going to burn yourself out in the first few months or first few weeks. I've seen it so many times. People going like full head first into something and taking on so many tasks, working overtime, not taking a proper break, not taking their lunch break. And then what happens? They burn out because they are exhausted. There's only so much that you can do during a day. There's so much you can do during a week. And there's so much that humanly you can do. So it is very important for you not to burn yourself out. Because if you burn yourself out in the first few months that you're in that role, it's going to affect your progression throughout the months. And also it's going to make you unmotivated, and you're going to start feeling frustrated and feeling angry you're going to start feeling angry towards the role itself, or even like towards colleagues or your clients. So it is very important for you not to burn out. And for you not to burn out, you need to make sure that you don't take on too many things. And also, don't try to work overtime to impress your line manager. Some people think that it's a good thing, but it's not. It's really not. You need to protect your brain. I've been telling that on the mental health, on the burnout video that I made previously. You need to protect your brain. Your brain is your biggest asset. If you burn out, it's going to affect you. It's not going to affect your line manager. It's going to affect you. So you better make sure that you're protecting your brain, you're protecting your well-being to be able to have a great career. And mostly when you're starting, I've seen so many people starting their first job and being burned out after a few months. It's not normal. It's really not normal. You don't have to work overtime. Yes, it happens that you will have to work extra hours, but this should be really rare occasions. If you're starting to work overtime every single day of the week, there's a problem. Then you have a priority problem. It's not about the workload, it's about the priority. So I would advise you to go to my how to prioritize video, because I think these tips are going to help you. But the point here is that be careful not to burn out. Mostly nowadays, it's very easy to take on more things, to work extra hours, mostly if you're working remotely as well. So just be very mindful of your time, take breaks, and again, protect your brain. And the reason why I'm saying all of that to you is because I've learned the hard way, right? I've been there. I try to take on many tasks. I've worked extra hours. I haven't delegated some work. If you're a manager, like, not delegating as well can burn you out. So you have a team for that. Well, if you're lucky enough to have a team, but delegate things that you're not supposed to do. Again, it's all linked to know your roles and responsibilities. So yes, I've learned the hard way, and that's why I'm telling you that you should be really careful about burnout, and it is a real thing and it is happening more and more. So just be careful, take care of yourself. At the end of the day, you have a certain number of hours that you need to do in a week. Just try to stick to these hours, and if there are some moments that you have to work extra long hours, it's okay, as long as these moments are not recurring. These are special occasions, let's call it that way, special occasions. Oh, and also one thing when it comes to burnout, don't say yes to everything. You don't need to say yes to everything. I mean, there are few things that you can say no, and I was a yes person, but I've learned the power of no, and no one will be upset with you if you say like, no, I can't do it. Or what you can say is that, well, which one of these two tasks you want me to prioritize, because I won't be able to do everything in a day. Or, okay, if I take on these tasks, can I push task number 2 to Tuesday or Thursday next week? That's the way you should do. But don't say yes of like, oh yes, I can deliver project A, project B, project C, project D within like 2 days. No, that's not possible. That's not possible. Again, don't take on too many projects. Don't say yes to everything, and don't work extra hours if it's not required. Don't do that, and you'll thank me later, because it's going to protect you so much. It's going to prevent you of going into something that you really don't want to go. You don't want to go because it takes a lot of time to recover afterwards. So just be mindful of that. So these were like the things to do, and also the things that you shouldn't do when you're starting a new job. And I think it's very important for you to remember that going to work, it's like a relationship, right? You need to be two to tango, and you need to remember to be very kind on yourself, and also that you don't have to put all the pressure on your shoulders. You don't have to. You're not working alone. You have people that you're working with. Rely on them. And don't be afraid to speak up and speak out, actually, because it's very important for you to put boundaries on the things that needs to be done and things that you can't do. But for it to happen, you need to over communicate. And remember, like all relationships, you need two to tango, right? So you can't be the only one trying to impress or trying to make an impact. And you shouldn't forget that basically a probation period is, yes, it's for the company to evaluate you if you're fitted for the role, but it's also for you to evaluate the company. Is the company fitted for you? Is it answering all your needs? Is it basically what you were expecting? Is it exactly what they advertised or what they told you your roles and responsibilities would be? So don't put too much pressure on your shoulders. It's not how it works. Okay, I think most of the time we tend to forget that, well, when you are starting a new job and we are within that probation period, that, oh, we are being evaluated, we are the one in the spotlight, and we need to make an impact. We need to prove ourselves to the company, to the clients. But actually, they need to prove themselves as well to you, right? Because you want to work, you want to be able, like, you have something to give, so you want to be able to give it to a company that values you, but is basically aligns with your values as well, and have the same standard as you, right? And it needs to be a role that fits what are your ambitions. So that's why I'm saying, be kind to yourself. Don't try to push too much and to put pressure on yourself, because at the end of the day, going to work is like, it's a two-way relationship, it's a two-way communication. And for it to work, well, again, You need to communicate. There's no such thing as over communicating. You need to communicate on a regular basis with your line manager, with your colleagues, and make sure that you are on the same page. Because if not, it's only going to lead to frustration, and you don't want that to happen. So just make sure that you're communicating. And again, don't forget that there are things that you should do when you're starting a new job. There are some things that, well, you shouldn't do. And it takes a lot of time as well. It takes time for you to settle in a job. So once again, be kind. Don't be too harsh on yourself, and you're going to be great. And if you're starting a new job today, you're going to nail it. I have no doubt about it, and you're going to be amazing. Amazing. So don't forget that, and I'll see you in the next video.